Hello, dear students. Today we are going to discuss the process of attention. Before going through this lecture, first let us have a look on its objectives. Understanding the nature of attention. Next, it is understanding the subjective factors of attention and understanding the objective factors of attention. Dear listeners, attention is better to be understood as a process involving the act of listening, looking at, or concentrating on a point, object, or event for the attainment of a desired result. Attention is the concentration of consciousness upon one object rather than another. To attend to an object means to be aware of it more keenly and intensely than of anything else. The mind, to a certain degree, selects out those elements which are to form the focus. In the absence of this selective activity, a person would live in a state of bewilderment and will not be able to make any progress. And because of this selective activity, a person can get fully absorbed in a task outside world. Let's understand it in a different way. At every moment, a person is attracted by a large number of stimuli of the outside world. But he or she cannot attend all these stimuli at one and the same time because only one stimulus is selected at a time, whereas other stimuli are kept in the background. The stimulus to which one attends occupies the center of his or her consciousness. The stimuli that are not attended to at a particular moment lie in the margin of consciousness. Students, our sense organs are the windows to the external world. These windows are capable of picking up any amount of available information. But there is a mechanism of regularity that filters or partially blocks out some inputs and allows others to get through. In other words, the attentional processes limit or block out the reception of stimuli in a selective manner. In this sense, the attentional process serves the function of tuning by filtering out the information selectively for being processed. This selective function or filtering function is governed by the center that is directed by brain. These processes serve various functions in the organization of our perceptions and other cognitive functions. There is a famous quotation by William James. Attention is the taking possession by the mind in a clear and vivid form of one out of several simultaneously present objects or trains of thought. Attention is so important to human cognition because it places limits on what we think about at the same time that it helps us determine what our thoughts, words, beliefs, and deeds are about at any given time. Dear students, now let us understand the different kinds of attention. Attentional process is classified mainly into two types, voluntary and involuntary. Voluntary attention is of intended nature. Whenever we intentionally or deliberately look or listen, the process of attention is voluntary. It involves conscious effort to select and situate particular stimuli into the focus of attention. Terming it differently, when attention calls forth the exercise of the will, it is voluntary or volitional attention. It is neither automatic nor spontaneous, nor wholeheartedly. Usually we have a clear-cut goal before us and we make ourselves attentive for its accomplishment. Attention paid at the time of solving an assigned problem of mathematics, answering questions in an examination, consulting the railway timetable before starting on a railway journey are some of the examples of volitional attention. If someone says, "Look here, listen what is being said," and if we respond to these commands accordingly, we are attending voluntarily. Volitional attention is further subdivided into two categories: implicit volitional attention and explicit volitional attention. In implicit volitional attention, a single act of volition is sufficient to bring about attention. When a child is assigned some mathematical problem and he does not attend to it, he is warned by the teacher that he will be fined if he does not do his assigned work. This can make him exercise his willpower, attend to the assigned work and finish it properly. Here, a single act of will is responsible for the arousing of attention. Hence, in this case, a single act of will is responsible for the arousal of attention. In explicit volitional attention, attention is obtained by repeated acts of will. One has to struggle hard to continue to be attentive. It requires strong willpower, application and strong motives to accomplish the task. Thus, attention paid at the time of examination days for the required preparation against heavy odds and distractions is an example of such attention. If a child has made up his mind once to attend a lecture and he keeps on listening to the lecture, his attention is implicitly volitional. But if he has to struggle hard to continue to be attentive and has to make several efforts to bring his mind to the task, the process will be called explicitly volitional. In explicit volitional attention, attention is obtained through repeated acts of volition. Now, involuntary attention. This type of attention is aroused without the will coming into play, and we attend to an object or an idea without any conscious effort on our part. Mother's attention to her crying child, attention towards a sudden loud noise and bright colors are some examples of non-volitional attention. Sometimes certain stimulus force become so powerful that our attention is drawn to that stimulus without any conscious effort to attend. For such attention, we are generally not mentally prepared, but our attention is abruptly and necessarily drawn. An intense flash of light, alarming siren sound, sudden cry of a child, etc., have a force in them to draw our attention without any deliberate effort. Since involuntary attention is drawn because of the potential force of the stimulus, it is often termed as stimulus-based or dominated attention. On the other hand, the voluntary attention is organism-based because it depends upon the conscious will of the attending person. Involuntary attention can be either enforced or spontaneous. The attention which is aroused by the instincts is called enforced non-volitional attention. A young man becomes attentive when his attention is aroused by making an appeal to his sex instinct. The attention aroused by the sentiments is called spontaneous attention. Here, the attention has its power motive, that is sentiment. It is the result of properly developed sentiments. We give somewhat automatic or spontaneous attention towards that object, idea or person around which or whom our sentiments have already been formed. For instance, the required interest in sports or in mountaineering makes the person attend very naturally, easily, spontaneously and without any effort of will. Now, let us understand the factors that influence attention. Many factors influence the directions of our attention. These factors are generally classified as internal factors and external factors. Internal factors are also known as subjective, personal or organism factors, while the external factors are termed as stimulus or objective factors. Internal or subjective factors. Internal factors are cognitive factors that include motives, interest, set or expectancy, etc. Hence, these factors are important and in some cases more important determinants of attention. Motives and interests. Motives and interests are most important factors in attracting attention. Motives and interests predispose a person not only to be attracted to, but in holding the object. The basic drives and urges of the individual are very important in securing his attention. Thirst, hunger, sex, curiosity, fear are some of the important motives that exercise a definite influence upon attention. A hungry person will definitely notice the smell of cooking. The man who fears snakes will definitely be more attentive to things which resemble a snake. The sex drive occupies a unique place among the different drives. In the world of advertising, sex is the drive that has been most widely exploited. Not only the basic needs or motives, any of the great variety of human motives and interests are important in directing our attention. An unemployed youth first opens the page of newspaper where vacancies appear. A person interested in sports events selectively pays his attention on the page where sports event appear. Set or expectancy. Set or expectancy also plays an important role in determining the direction of attention. Mindset means the tendency or bent of the whole mind. A person always attends to those objects towards which his mind has set. An anxiously waiting mother gets attracted to the sound of footsteps of passerby, presuming the arrival of her son. A doctor is usually found to hear the sounding of bell, expecting the arrival of a patient, ringing of telephone during night, expecting a call, but he may fail to hear the sound of his crying baby. A zoologist, if knows beforehand that he would be asked some questions on bird's life, while walking, he would be attentively gathering information about birds. Similarly, on the day of an examination, the slightest thing concerning the examination easily attracts the attention of the students. All this happens because the persons concerned possess a definite bent of mind, and consequently their attention is immediately directed towards the related objects. Interest. Interest and attention go together. In fact, interest is a very helpful factor in securing one's attention. We attend to objects in which we are interested, and we do not attend to those in which we have no interest. If we go to a bookshop to buy a book, we do not see to any other shops like cloth shop or toy shop. In fact, interest and attention are merely different ways of looking at the same thing. To have an interest in any object is to be ready to pay attention to it. According to McDougall, interest is latent attention and attention is interest in action. It is interest which determines to what attention is directed. It is a preconceived condition for applying attention. In an act of attending to an object, the interest is hidden in the process. Thus, there is an intimate connection between attending and being interested. Now, let us see what are the external factors which govern the process of attention. External or stimulus factors that govern attention getting may be considered under 5 major heads: prepotency, change, size, repetition, and moment. Prepotency. Some stimuli are prepotent, that is, intense enough to draw our attention more readily than those which are relatively weak or less potent. For example, a loud noise, brighter light, strong smell, etc. are prepotent over low sound, dim light, weak smell, etc. Similarly, saturated colors over pastel shades, deep pressure over smooth pressure are prepotent to draw our attention. Similarly, a large object in the environment is more likely to catch our attention than a small object. A large building will be more readily noticed than the small ones. If two stimuli are competing for drawing attention, the one that is more potent will draw our attention first than the other. Change, contrast, and variety. Living beings are usually sensitive to change. Change and variety attract attention more easily than sameness or routine. People pay more attention to the running streams than to stagnant pools. Change in stimulus can take any form, from one color to another, appearance to disappearance of the stimuli, high to low, stationary to moving, sudden increase or decrease in intensity, etc. Such changes in the stimuli attract our attention. For instance, A fan in motion does not attract our attention. However, if the fan stops moving due to power failure, it draws our attention. Public speakers very often change the pitch of their voice while addressing a gathering in order to catch the attention of the audience. If two persons are whispering together in quiet atmosphere and in the middle someone suddenly shouts, the shouting man suddenly draws the attention of whispering persons and they sit up to take notice. When a teacher is lecturing to his students, the use of maps and charts suddenly attract their attention. Teachers use stimulus variation as a teaching skill to gain the attention of students by making change in their voice, pitch, or by making audio visual shifting. We do not notice the ticking of a clock on the wall, but it arrests our attention as soon as it stops. We notice any change in the pattern of attention to which we have become adopted. Actually, the factor contrast or change is highly responsible for capturing attention of the organism and contributes more than the intensity, size, or nature of the stimulus. Intensity and size of the stimulus. Size of the stimulus too has the potency to draw our attention. In comparison to the weak stimulus, the stronger stimulus attracts more attention. Our attention becomes easily directed to a loud noise, a bright light, or a strong smell. Similarly, a large object in the environment is more likely to catch our attention than a small object. A large building will be readily more noticed than the small ones. Some advertisers favor full page advertisement only to capture the attention of the readers. However, there are some other interrelated factors also which determine attention. Even a full page size may suffer by its lack of neatness, by clumsiness, or by lack of dexterity, etc. The main principle is that the size of the stimuli which appeals more to the perceiver's interests and needs are more pronouncing determinants of attention. Repetition of the stimulus. Repetition is a factor of great importance in securing one's attention. We may ignore a stimulus the first time, but when it is repeated several times, it captures our attention. For example, if a misspelled word repeatedly occurs in a page, it is likely to be noticed more readily than if it occurs once. A weak stimulus becomes effective if it is repeated time and again. Manufacturers and politicians repeat their advertisements again and again so as to catch the attention of the people. In the classroom also, the particular point on which the teacher tries to draw the attention of the students is raised again and again. While giving the lecture, the important aspects of the speech are often repeated so that the attention of the audience can be easily directed to the valuable points. Repetition is advantageous in two ways. Firstly, the repeated stimulus has a better chance of catching our attention at least once when we are inattentive. Secondly, repetition increases our sensitivity or alertness to the stimulus. However, repetition has certain limitations too. This practice of repetition should be used carefully. Too much repetition of a stimulus may bring diminishing returns. Over repetition sometimes leads to monotony. But if the stimulus is repeated at regular intervals with some variations or change in style, design, color, etc., it makes the stimulus more prominent and acquires the quality of drawing attention. Students, in order to conclude, we can say that attention is a process that selects some of the sensory inputs to provide conscious experience. It selectively brings certain limited number of inputs into the focus of conscious experience. There are some phenomena of attention such as fluctuation of attention, shift of attention, and distraction of attention, which fascinated the researchers, and interesting findings have been obtained. To obtain better results in learning, one has to hold the subject's attention for a desirable length of time. One has to make serious efforts to sustain attention by taking care of all the factors responsible for maintaining attention and eliminating the factors of distraction. As we know that there are several external and internal factors of attention that direct our attention. External factors include prepotency, change, size, repetition, and moment. The internal factors include one's motivation, interest, expectancy, and other cognitive factors. Dear students, with this I conclude today's lecture. Hope you have enjoyed the session. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.